Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I'm Shriyans, a third year engineering student at MIT Manipal. Today, I'm going to show you what my study system for college is, and I hope you have fun watching it. Everyone. So for my note taking, I primarily use my iPad and my Apple Pencil. So as you can see, I have the name of the chapter written on top. Then I use a highlighter for highlighting all the important points. And then I have another colored highlighter for highlighting the headings. Now, what makes it fun to write on the iPad is the diversity of colors and different tools you have to make your notes. For example, if I go into the pen, I have three different kinds of pens I can choose from. Now, the eraser is fantastic because there are three different modes. I usually use the stroke eraser, which erases every stroke, or if you want to erase normally, you can use the precision eraser or the standard eraser. Now, apart from this, there's erase highlighter only, which is self-explanatory, and the auto deselect feature, which has helped me save countless minutes while writing. So, when you basically write, when you basically try to erase something, for example, I have this feature off. I erase this. I have to go back manually to the pencil or double tap on my Apple Pencil, which switches between the eraser and the last selected option. So now, in case I have the auto deselect feature on, I can just erase whatever I want and it automatically switches back to the pen so that I don't have to worry about switching it back, going to the dock or double tapping on the pencil and waste time over there. So that is one really handy feature of this. Apart from this, the writing on the iPad gives me cross-platform connections because I can access these notes on my laptop, I can access these on my phone, so I can and the iPad, so I can study wherever I want basically. And apart from this, another good thing is, for example, I can insert images. So for example, I can have this image over here, I can rotate it, resize it, have the orientation set. And once I'm satisfied with the position, I can just let go of it. And now I can annotate directly on the image. So what happens is, if I have any diagrams such as this, which are complex to draw and might take up time, I just import them onto the iPad so that it's just present straight out from the slides and I just have to revise it for the exams. So that's basically how I take my notes. It's very structured. I have folders for every single subject. So these are the subjects I have: embedded systems, database management systems, software engineering, cybersecurity, and another subject called essentials of management. So I have notes for my fifth sem, for my fourth sem. Apart from this, I've got basically everything structured properly. Hey everyone. So now that you've seen how I take down my notes, now I'm going to show you how what I do for basically understanding the subject. So the idea is, if I can write down everything there is in that chapter onto a single sheet of paper, this is better if you do it on an A4 sheet, but I use Apple Notes. If you can write down this on a single sheet of paper without missing anything and without looking at it in the most concise form possible, that means you have understood the chapter well. So, for example, let me just take an example and tell you how I do this. So, for example, if I take up the LPC 1768, which we study in our embedded systems class, now this has basically 100 pins, and there are 5 ports, from P0 to P4, and so now if you each port has 32 bits. So if you see 32 cross 5 is greater than 100. Now the reason this is only restricted to 100 uh, is because some pins are not available to the user. There are restrictions. Now, apart from this, each pin can have one of four different functions: F0, F1, F2, F3. In F0 is called GPIO, stands for General Purpose Input Output. Now you'll need to configure these pins. So you have the pin here and 0 all throughout till 31. Now to configure each of these pins, one of four modes. So to represent four in binary, you will need 2 bits minimum: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. This is 0, 1, 2, 3. So for 2 bits, you will need two different pins of what is called a pin cell, which is a register, which is going to configure these ports. Now on this pin cell, there can be so a pin cell, if you're trying to configure a port NM, this is going to configure 2M comma 2M plus 1. these are the ports the Pincel is going to configure, Pincel NM. And if M is less than 16, and in case M is greater than or equal to 16, this is going to configure 2 times M minus 16 and twice of M minus 16 plus 1, these two ports. Now, once you have configured the into the GPIO, general purpose input output, you can choose between the input or the output. Now, to do this, you will need to set the direction as the input or the output for which you use a register called a FIOD. So this way, I start making links between everything there is in the chapter. And if I can fit all of this in a single page, that is when I know that I have properly understood the subject. So I can do this with literally any subject. Doesn't matter if it's only theory, if it's proper coding. You can do this with literally anything, and it's going to work wonders for you. Now, the most important part that's left is revision for the exams. So, the easiest and the most effective way to do this is basically once you're done with a particular chapter, try to pick up the previous year papers which are there. So, for our college, we have the library portal in which we get all the previous year papers. So, try to pick them up and try to solve them, because usually most of the questions are either repeated from the previous papers. Try to do all the questions which are done in class without seeing them again, because these questions come without any alteration in the values many times. And apart from this, you can also pick up a few questions from what has been done in the other classes, your friends classes and all. The reason I just stick to this and don't get any material from outside for revision is basically because it's not very wise. Most of the books you have outside are reference books. They're not textbooks which are particularly written for your curriculum. And number two, once you look at the previous year papers, you have a very good idea of how the college wants to test your knowledge. They usually will not go out of the way and drastically change their patterns. So the way the questions are framed, the kind of questions which repeat, that is the exact same pattern that will be repeated for you too. So you get a really good idea of what the college is expecting from you if you look at the question and match it up with the answer key. So yeah, that's all I have in this video for you. I hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next one.